Thank you for joining us today. I call the April 18th meeting of the Human Rights Commission to order. Let's begin with an introduction of commission members, starting with Rachel.
I'm looking around for Rachel.
That's-
Hi, my name is Rachel. I am a committee member.
Cheryl Schafel, Commission Member.
Nancy Boyle, Commission Member.
Cody Severson, Chair of the Commission.
Esther Sirleaf, member of the commission.
Zoe Apsey, Commission Member.
Carolyn is here, just absent at the very moment. The next item is to approve the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve it, please?
Make a motion to approve the agenda.
Can I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 No, opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. The next item is to approve the minutes of the March 21st, 2024 meeting. And I believe those were also sent out in email, Ahmed, is that correct? Yeah. Okay. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes, please?
Make a motion to approve the minutes.
All right, may I get a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Thank you. All right, we will go right into it then. We first up have a presentation for Creative Community Consulting. If Siam and Megan want to come up here, want to make their way to the podium, we'd love to hear from you.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to share a little bit about our organization and some of the work that we've been doing across the Fargo-Moorhead area. Creating Community Consulting was established in May of 2022, so we are only 2 years into this crazy journey. And our mission is to provide equity-focused, data-driven, results-based organization and community change. And so we do that by partnering with nonprofits, government entities, and community coalitions and initiatives. We really use a holistic, equity-focused model. We see ourselves as catalysts for hope, creating hope within communities, building trust through inclusion, life experience, active listening, cultural responsiveness, respect, and accountability, and leading with passion and inspiring things to be different. We believe in individuals and communities know what is needed to create solutions, and that through a model that embraces holistic wellness and well-being, we can really create that equity for all people. And we are rooted in community. We help to empower people to lead, that inclusion promotes trust, integrity drives our moral compass, transparency fosters accountability. We believe in an infusion of joy in all that we do, and that authentic empathy allows us to hold safe space. So really through this, we provide capacity support for communities and change makers to do the hard work within their communities to create change. Here is our commitment to racial equity as well. Equity and inclusion in community conversations and community decision making is at the heart of everything that we do. This is our team. Karen Pfeiffer and I are co-owners, and I have with me Siham, who is a project lead here in our Fargo-Moorhead work, and then we have one project lead as well, Katie, leading some things in Becker County. So our teams are separated mainly between the Fargo-Moorhead area and Becker County, because that's where we live. Siham and I are both Moorhead residents. We have lots of partners and colleagues across different entities and agencies that we lean into to do this work well. We are a growing team. We actually have one intern who's an NDSU social work student with us this semester. We plan to continue internship opportunities. And then we are bringing on part-time people as needed based on project demand. Here are just some of the services we provide. So really comprehensive capacity building from strategic planning for communities, for organizations, staff and board training and retreats, capacity building through grant writing and sourcing of resources and available funding opportunities, marketing and storytelling, and motivational and public speaking. Our services are rooted in a collaboration of multiple models, all evidence-based, rooted in results-based decision-making. So again, using that data and then leaning into the positive and strength-based lens of communities and those that are most disproportionately impacted by the social change that we are trying to create. And so who are we working with? On the screen is just a few of our partners that we are currently working with in the Fargo-Moorhead area. Just to touch on a few, we've had some really great success in partnering with Clay County, both of their public health and their social services. Some of those projects have been to help do some work around mental health with new Americans, increasing access to childcare, and exploration of a family resource center. I'll let CHAM talk to Inclusive Moorhead. That's probably one of our most exciting projects that's been ever evolving.
Yeah, so thank you again for having us here. Inclusive Moorhead really started out as a way to address disparities in not only Clay County, but Moorhead specifically. But it's evolved into like a community effort with Fargo and Moorhead. So really bringing all those communities together collectively where they intersect. So all communities, disability, communities of New Americans, BIPOC, and really LGBTQ plus as well. So finding those commonalities to work together to create positive change, and we really want that led by community members. So currently we have a governance committee that has formed since November 2023. And we really try to focus on how we can support all of our community members and collectively work together. Some of the key aspects of Inclusive Moorhead are formal representation, so working on ways we can participate in not only our local, but our greater community, and policy and process of different entities and how to make that a more inclusive way of working together. And the fun aspects are holding family-oriented gatherings to also talk about any issues we have in the community. Am I missing anything else?
No, the one thing that I do want to share is that we provide that quick capacity support and that immediate need. CHAM is functioning essentially as a coalition coordinator for that effort. So supporting the coordination, the communication, planning efforts. And in the back end, we are working really hard to help create those system change opportunities as well. And so in that, actually, Clay County Public Health has stepped up to be the fiscal host. Inclusive Moorhead is a completely grassroots initiative. It is not a separate 501c3, and we feel strongly that it needs to remain a community effort versus nonprofit for sustainability, because we are leaning on other nonprofit leaders to do this work. And the fact that a county entity is willing to be a fiscal host for a grassroots effort is not something that has been typically done in that way. We've been able to leverage hundreds of thousands of dollars from state grants on the Minnesota side through that partnership with Clay County, both in social service and public health, that is ultimately going to initiatives like Inclusive Moorhead, Ashara, the some work around recovery communities with diverse community members working to help those with substance misuse and in recovery. And so we're really excited for what we've been able to do and know that there is a greater need across the community. And so we do appreciate just the opportunity to get to share more about who we are and what we do. And apologize, CHAM joined our team right after we took all these team photos, so we need to get new photos. But it has been amazing, and this is our community, and we are so passionate to see the change to create a more inclusive and just community for all that we know can be a reality. So we'll take any questions or anything that anyone has for us?
Thank you for the presentation. Does anybody have questions? What are the services most asked of your organization?
Yeah. We've been getting a lot of requests for support in grant writing. There's a lot of resources, and a lot of smaller nonprofits and organizations don't have a staff member who's dedicated to that role or maybe has experience. We are looking to create a workshop, so it'd be a two-part intensive workshop around grant writing because we just don't have the capacity to do all the grant writing. The other thing that we have really been able to step into is a third-party neutral facilitator of community conversations. And so coming in, and we're not a public health entity, we're not a social service entity or an institution, so we are able to just have a more authentic, open conversation with community members that we can then, in essence, translate into action through those institutions. And so that would be the two that I would say is the highest need.
Is there any upcoming events that your organization is putting on, as well as with the multitude of different organizations, grassroots as well, that you're working with? Where would we find that contact information? Is that something that would be funneled through your website, others as well?
Yeah, so our organization isn't directly putting any events on, but we do have a website if you're curious about more information. It's just creatingcommunityconsulting.com. But Siham, I'll let you talk about the July Inclusive Moorhead Gathering.
So we recently had one gathering on April 7th. We try to have quarterly gathering, partner with different community organizations to support bringing people together and support their work as well. July 18th, 5 to 8, it's going to be in Moorhead, and we're partnering with the International Potluck to bring in community and hopefully performances and different meals, and also talk about anything on the community's mind that we should be aware of.
And Inclusive Moorhead does have both a website and a Facebook page. The other thing that's really exciting, when we think of the word inclusion, sometimes that can get kind of clouded in people's minds, or it's very different for each individual. It's also been politicized. And so one activity that we've done is a photography project, and we've actually worked with a local photographer as well as some student photographers just to capture portrait shots. And then we asked folks, what are you doing to create a welcoming or inclusive community? We had some kiddos that said that they like to play soccer with everyone. That was their welcoming, inclusive activity. Adults that create space or work for change. But really, again, when we think about Fargo-Moorhead, we expect, it is our community's norm to be welcoming, to be friendly. That is part of our culture in this community. And so we really want that to be seen as the base of inclusion.
With some of these services that you offer,
Yeah.
is it those who are seeking it, do they pay some type of Skype towards it, or is it a free program where if you're interested, we can do this to you? Like, how does that kind of work out?
Yeah, we do have a fee for service. We do have a sliding fee scale as well, though, for smaller, diverse nonprofits that maybe don't have a full, robust budget. And we also help source grants. A number of the services and projects that we're working on are our line of service is covered through a state grant or a regional grant that allows for especially like evaluation and that technical assistance capacity building piece for new projects or initiatives.
Okay.
And just one clarifying piece, that
Yeah.
event on July 18th, do you have a location for that?
Yes, Gooseberry Park, the big
you.
shelter in Moorhead.
Where can people go to find out more information? If they wanna, let's say they didn't get all that information about this event or every services you guys offer, where would they be able to go to connect with you guys?
Yeah, if anyone's interested in connecting on services or exploring different supports, they can go definitely to our website. Our contact information's there, but I will also give my email address. It is Megan, MEGAN, at creatingcommunityconsulting.com. And our website again is creatingcommunityconsulting.com. For the Inclusive Moorhead event, definitely check out the Inclusive Moorhead Facebook page. Siam's been making lots of great posts, sharing things there. That's a great way to get connected.
I have a quick question. So you guys work with a lot of different organizations and hear about projects they're doing. Is there a common theme or barriers that come up that come to a head when working with them?
Yeah, definitely feel to jumping, Siam, but we work really at the intersection of the social determinants of health. We focus on people-serving projects. We don't engage in anything related to athletics or animals or purely the environment. We really want it to be connected back to people within communities. And so the biggest thing that we are seeing is that intentional focus on equity and inclusive community building. And this really spans across all of the social determinants of health, whether it be housing, hunger, employment opportunities, or just inclusive community building in spaces. There's a lot of work in economic development and a recognition that if we want to have healthy economies and a healthy workforce, we need to have communities that people want to live, where people feel safe and included. And I don't mean from a policing standpoint of safe, but a safe place where I can authentically show up as myself. Anything you want to add?
You know, just finding those spaces organizations can go to find support. I think that's sometimes not open to all. So really finding those spaces and places the people-focused organizations can go to support has been challenging.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you. I also wanted to ask, Postpartum Support International North Dakota, is that within NDDHHS, or is that just
No, so Postpartum Support International is a national organization, and recently North Dakota opened a chapter. Okay. And so they are an advocacy group. I would definitely check out their website. They do not provide direct service, but rather resources to connect women and pregnant people and folks that have just given birth with resources, support groups, and help advocate for better postpartum medical provision.
Okay, because I know DHHS is working a lot on increasing the availability of doulas and midwives in North Dakota. So I was hoping that those two were related in some way.
I believe they are connected. There are quite a few providers that are on that board that are definitely looking at legislation and figuring out how to support that work. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions? All right. Thank you very much for the presentation.
Yes, thank you.
All right. So the next thing up on the agenda is that we just wanted to have kind of a circle back to the ceasefire resolution that we had unanimously passed up to City Commission, and unfortunately did not get passed by City Commission, was downvoted by Commissioners Colbeck and Mayor Mahoney, and just wanted to share that and see if anybody had dialogue that they wanted to share with that. I know we're not really able to do anything with that until we have more information on if votes would change, so it would take us a while to make any adjustments to that. I would offer that commissioners here are welcome to email and speak individually with city commissioners on the agenda as well to move dialogue, but if anybody else had thoughts that they want to share at this point. It sits in our court for the time being. If we wanted to do anything else, we'd have to vote on it again to be pushed back up. So yes, right now it is fully in our court to do something with later on if we so choose.
So would you suggest us having those meetings and then bringing it back to vote to bring it back up to city commission?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. We wouldn't be able to change anything until we know that other things have changed. And so I would suggest people just having those conversations outside of here for any sort of support that way. And then we can bring it back and talk about it again.
I would like to say this publicly because I know that this particular situation is very dear to other people's hearts. And I don't want it to be a situation where we host the Name Human Rights Coalition or a committee and you feel as though we did not uphold your values or your cause when it was brought to us. It's just a chain of command in the situation where it's not directed to one person making a decision. However, I will be precise. I personally hear it and will continue to fight on you guys' behalf. I feel like that is very important to put out there.
I would also like to commend the people who were involved, simply because it's exciting to see people and young people who are interested in world affairs. We have too many people in our country, in our community, who are disengaged from what's going on in the world and what's happening in the country. And it's exciting to see young people who want to make a difference. Thank you.
And I guess just for point of clarification, was that from staff members, Dr. Hogan, Commissioner Strand, is that accurate for what I put forward if we were to move anything forward in the future?
Mr. Chairman, I believe that's the reality,
Yeah.
And if your commission continues to advocate for what you advocate for, and you go to the levels of available leadership that you can advance your positions with, that's of course what everybody and anybody should welcome and do. I'd like to make one more clarification too. Your commission voted unanimously for this resolution and spent quite a bit of time working on it. One of the sidebar elements of that approach, as I recall, was whether or not this message would be not just run up the chain flagpole to the city commission for their approval, but then hopefully to share that with other electeds at the federal and state levels. That's kind of in limbo right now because it didn't get the authority and approval of the city commission to enhance that aspect of it. So to my knowledge, that's kind of on hold. I would guess they probably know what you've done, but I'd like to, Rochelle and Cheryl, I'd also like to join in acknowledging the voices of the people and our very diverse people in our community, and things that maybe aren't visual to others and seen by others. The advocates brought these issues to your attention and to the community's attention, and I join in celebrating and acknowledging and thanking those courageous folks who stood up for what they believe in.
Thank you. I also want to put out there, we do appreciate the proclamation that was put forward previously by the joint mayors, I believe, of Fargo and Moorhead, if I recall correctly. That proclamation, it was well written. We didn't. I would just push back that it didn't go far enough, which is why we continued with our work. But I do appreciate them putting together that proclamation and sending that out. It was a good, heartfelt step. We would just like more as we had voted on previously. And it's unfortunate how divisive this is becoming to get the votes on it, but it is what it is. So again, continuing with the conversation with sidebars with other city commissioners, then we'll push forward after that then. Okay. Any other comments people would like to make? Oh. Sure.
Hi. Sorry I'm late. But, and I think I've talked to a couple of you about this afterwards, that our work's not done. And we will always work with you all and support you. So just know that you do have support from our commission, and we'll keep pushing forward.
Thank you. Okay, the next thing that we want to talk about was just a very informal discussion on the police profiling issue that has been raised. I know Cheryl pushed for this one, so I wanted to let you talk about your points as well. And we can, because also to add on right before that, I know Dr. Hogan has pushed for another joint meeting of all parties involved. Chief Spolsky, the executive committee here, and Cheryl and a couple of others to talk after this to have a more informed discussion on how we can move forward and how the moving parts are. So with that in mind, Cheryl, if you want to talk about that.
I know that we don't necessarily have the time to really get into this issue, but I was very concerned when I read the article in the Forum on April 11th regarding the two different African-American men who have been detained. I mean, not only detained, but handcuffed and put in the back of a patrol car. And they had nothing to do with it. Now, just the action of being handcuffed and detained by the police is traumatizing. It would be traumatizing for me, and it's especially traumatizing for people who belong to a community that has a history of being traumatized by the police. Now, there were 3 different instances. The one person actually had it happen twice. My thought is, if there's 3 instances in the paper, there are more, because I can't help but believe that there are people out there who are scared to come forward and say something needs to be done about this. My other concern is that the investigation that was done into it was only in-house. And I think it would be in everybody's best interest for some kind of outside agency to look into it. My third issue is, do we have some kind of culture training for our police officers? You know, because this shows up simply in the description issues. You know, the description of the one man was he was 6 feet tall, he was clean shaven, and he had dreads. And they detained someone who was 5'8", had facial hair, and a short afro. And I understand that a lot of people who live in the white community don't know the difference between dreads or twists or short afro. But there are different things culturally that if we have people out there in the police force, they need to know the difference when it comes to descriptions. Because it might not be that publicized here, but if you look across the United States, we're looking at a community that is already traumatized by these issues. My concern is that they did the investigation, it was found there was not racial profiling. That doesn't mean it's going to stop.
And I think it's...
I got one more thing. The other issue that I had was the article by the Forum. Why would we put pictures of innocent men who are detained and photograph them in handcuffs? I think that shows definitely irresponsibility and a lack of compassion, a lack of empathy for the people involved. And now that I've stated my concerns, I know that we're not going to necessarily find an answer to them today, but I'll turn it back to you, Cody.
Cody,
Sure.
can I add something?
Go for it. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, first of all, it appears that they don't have any data collection on arrests and so forth, which seems to be fairly obvious first step to see, you can't do anything without data and the need for data. But secondly, the internal investigations. I am not casting aspersions on the police department, but I think you have a pattern here. We've been through the Netterville thing, we've been through others, and I think perhaps whether or not the outcome is what it should be, it creates a perception that it's a cover-up.
Could
Thank you.
Can I add? Oh, sorry.
you can go, Xavier?
There was also another article that came out yesterday regarding West.
West Philomé.
Yeah, and I mean, I understood that graffiti's wrong, but it was a water soluble
Sure.
artwork on a railroad area that is known for graffiti marks, and not only did they put it in the news and publicly embarrass him, but they had also gave him the option to plead guilty with a $400 fine or 40 hours of community service. I don't know his background, but I mean, just as being an African American, it's tough. I mean, $400 is not something that can just be given out or simply just come up with to give for just things like that. So
Thank you.
just want to bring that up.
Was the article in the forum?
I was, yeah.
Okay. And the reason I asked that question is that there is a narrative that's being portrayed when it comes to the African American population here in Fargo. It goes to like what you're saying. There's other pictures. I feel as though when a situation happened and there is no race attached to it, for safety measures, they do not release names or picture. When it's confirmed that it is an African or African American, the most detrimental picture is released, especially within the forum or whatever else news outlet. And this can also be a hinder on their employment history, because whatever you say, you did it or not, this has been portrayed. And the police department itself, and I believe West Philomé have been on their necks about having proper training, police cameras, search, all of these things, and yet we have not had anything traumatic happen. So we keep coming back to the same questions without any answers, and it's what are we doing about it? At this point, it seems like we as a society here in Fargo are being complacent to having these conversations over and over. And this is another example of how we keep saying we're moving forward without doing the work, because nobody is being held accountable. How are we continuously keep having internal investigation? Why will anybody say, yes, we're messing up? It doesn't make sense. It just does not make sense. So it's not something where I'm saying I'm shocked. I'm not shocked. The news media outlet is not going to say retract everything. Sorry about the picture. Sorry about all of this. They're not going to do it. Now you have these men who are portrayed as criminal, and they're not. No public apology has been given. There's nothing that has followed up with this after being disgraced publicly.
Thank you. Zoe?
Well, just something to go off what Michelle was talking about, and maybe something that the Human Rights Commission could advocate for. But at one of the last city commission meetings, probably last month, an individual came up and was asking about how the police department doesn't track race or demographics. Could that be something that we take on or look into and present to city commission?
I feel like we've talked about that, and the answer has been ambiguous.
Well,
So-
this always, I think, said, well, they have a police advisory board, and
Right, it would need to be a collaboration between the Police Advisory and Oversight Board and Human Rights Commission, which I think Dr. Hogan and Commissioner Strand we would ask for your advice and perspective on any collaborations there.
Although, and to add to that, it was made quite clear in the recent article in the forum that it is an advisory board, not an oversight board.
Right.
Sure.
So I don't know why they have oversight in there, but anyway.
So I think the most that I can ask for right now is that we'll have a follow-up with that joint meeting with at least the executive team within the next month. And we'll bring that to the working session and continue the dialogue there, because there's a narrative that needs to be broken and a narrative that needs to be just done.
I think for me right now, it's we've talked about it, and this is not saying the blame is one-sided. This is saying that we need a date, a deadline to know something is going on, because we keep promising these people something is going to be done. We're looking into it. We're talking about it. There's dialogue. What is our set time? And this is something in which we could talk to both Commissioner Strand and Dr. Hogan about. But I think coming back and being realistic with the part, because we can't sit here and just keep talking about it. Our board is about action, and there's no actions going to be done until we kind of push it out there. We need to be very intentional about it, and maybe giving a date, maybe saying, give us about this long to really put that out. Then at least accountability on our end is happening, because right now everything is hot air of we'll talk about it.
And we need the staff support to do it.
And so right now we have our working session scheduled for May 2nd at 10 a.m. And so we will look for a finite approach by that point in time, then, if people want to dialogue with city staff members and try to figure that out. Okay. May 2nd. I'll say it again at the end of the meeting. Okay. Okay. All right. The next item that we have up is just we wanted to acknowledge that Fred's Dissonance is going to be having Juneteenth on June 15th. Could you put that up on the thing, please, Ahmed? The projector. And Fred Edwards was able to work with Dr. Hogan and establish the funding from the city of Fargo. So City of Fargo City and Human Rights Commission is sponsoring this as well. We just want to acknowledge that on June 15th, 12 to 6, Juneteenth is happening. If anybody wants to get involved volunteering-wise, you're more than welcome to reach out to them. I don't think that as a commission we are officially having a sign-up sheet for volunteers, but you're welcome to go there and do that. Questions on that?
If you would like to be involved, you can reach out to either Zoe and I, and we can help you guys get into the program as well. So,
well, thank you, folks. That's great.
no problem.
Okay. Okay, fantastic. And then any updates from staff? I know that. Do you want to talk about the IDI for a moment? Or no?
I guess I am standing here. So with the DEI office, we have been engaged in doing some trainings with the staff, City of Fargo staff, from leadership and departments. And I had a conversation with you the other day and figured I should mention it here as well. It would be a great opportunity to extend some of that training to the HRC, for them to take some of those leadership assessments. So that is one of the things that I wanted to bring on and speak to you guys about. And I will just follow up with you as a group to see who is interested in taking some of those leadership assessments.
Great, thank you. And then I know Ahmed and Dr. Hogan are still working on getting some promotional materials, the Human Rights Commission from the comms department. So hopefully having those. Ahmed had just sent out as well that the police picnic is scheduled for, I believe, June. And so we'll hopefully have materials for that. I thought it was June. I don't know, it could be July. Ahmed, do you remember?
Is it July or
It's this summer. June 26th.
Is June 26th?
That's what's, oh, I don't know.
Yep, June 26th, 5:30 to 7:30 p.m. For those community, excuse me, for those community members that are interested in signing up as to get a booth, they're more than welcome. So as the HRC can definitely have a booth to join in. And that applications are due, as I emailed out, May 31st.
Just gives a month and a week, so that's great.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would like to stress, highly stress, that the people on the commission mark those dates on their calendars and do their best to keep them clear so they can be there.
Thank you for that push.
Thank you.
Yeah, do you want to go into this a little bit, Saku?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yeah, our church, One Family Christian Center, has been doing some great work in our community, and we've been working with New American Seniors. And we were able to identify some gaps within services to that particular community as regards the 5 social determinants of health. And we are working with the Rural Action Agent Network, RAN, and the Lutheran Social Services of America. And so they'll be sending us a team from DC. They'll be coming here to do a documentary from the 27th and 28th of this month. And we will be hosting a banquet at the church for New American Seniors. So if you know of any New American Seniors, or you are a caregiver seniors, you are welcome to come. It starts at 1 p.m. I was glad to know that the High Plain Fair Housing, they will be there too, be making a presentation. And so it's open to the community. If you want to have a table there, you are welcome. And we calling on all and sundry to come, and so that we partner together in providing services for New American Seniors. Yep. So we have some flyers here, and I can also take some questions. Yes.
Thank you.
Anybody have questions?
If you want to volunteer, you want to partner, yep, you can always reach out to me.
Great.
Or any other numbers on the flyer.
Thank you, Saku.
Thank you.
All right, and I apologize, we kind of slid right from staff updates to announcements. We'll keep on going with announcements. Also,
She's taking long.
does anybody else have announcements to share? Okay, with that, we do have one kind of special presentation. Hamida had left the commission a few months back to pursue her duties with the state of North Dakota as a representative, and we weren't able to actually congratulate her on that in person or give her a plaque of recognition from the Human Rights Commission, so we would like to do that now. I'm going to head down there. Hamida, I have a plaque for you. I'd like to present it to you.
While our chairman's making his way back, I forgot to add, if you love some real good African food, it will be good for you on that day too. Stop in.
And then I guess just as a side note, also, it's Pride Month has been celebrated by a couple of area colleges during this month. NDSU has had a whole bunch of activities, and I think the other colleges have as well. Tonight at M State, there is what's called Lavender Graduation, where queer students from all of the area higher education institutions are being recognized for graduating this semester. I believe it starts at 7 p.m. at M State. If anybody would like to go to that, you're welcome to. Just a way of congratulating, again, queer students for their accomplishments in higher education tonight.
Going off of that and what Cody just shared, there's an event tomorrow evening as well at the Memorial Union at NDSU Pan-African evening. And so tons of different dancing and just beautiful engagement within that population that is free to the public. So you can find that on the Memorial Union website, and even just Googling NDSU and Pan-African, you should be able to find information on that event.
I think the Indigenous,
Association?
yes, are having an event to, you know what? I'm a pause.
They're having an event. Check their website.
Yes, they're having an event. Check the website.
That's great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The Pan-African Students Association event at NDSU will be from 6 p.m. till 9. I will be there, and I will be working with them. So, hey.
Well, if Sekou is going, you guys gotta go.
Great teamwork, folks. All right, so the next item is public comment. Those who wish to address the Human Rights Commission must use the sign-in sheet. Speakers must state their name and will be limited to 2.5 minutes. Comments should not contain profanity or personal attacks. Do we have anyone signed up for public comment?
Brady Johnson.
Fantastic, thank you.
Hi guys, it's my first time up here without like something I prepared, so that's kind of nice. I just wanted to say thank you. I know that you all did do a lot of work, both in educating yourselves when we brought the first People's Resolution to you, and supporting us through that, and in working in creating a Human Rights Commission resolution. I think that we just all really appreciate that, and we see you, and you doing that work and speaking out today to keeps hope for a lot of people that are feeling really hopeless. And I just want to make sure that you all know that we see you too. And I'm tearing up a little bit because it's been tough. And so we really appreciate you. And I wanted to make sure you know. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public? No. Okay, before we close out, one other thing. Ahmed had given me the subcommittee restructure that we did. And so if y'all want to take out your pens and paper, I would like to tell you which subcommittee you are on. For Education Awareness Committee, we have Sekou, Carolyn, Cheryl, and Zoe. For the Crisis Response Committee, we have Nancy, Rachel, Xavier, and Zoe. And then for the legislative activities and updates, we have Tamba, Nancy, and Kristen. Okay. So hopefully by our working session, we'll have more updates from the subcommittees then.
I didn't hear Aaron, so is he now on any other committees?
We'll have to ask him.
Yeah.
Not on my list. Okay. All right. Any other business? Hearing none, this meeting of the Human Rights Commission stands adjourned. Our next regular meeting is scheduled for May 16th, 2024 at noon. Our next working session meeting is scheduled for May 2nd, 2024 at 10 a.m. All right, thank you, folks.